I'm LaDonna M as always, and today joining me is someone whom I call my literary mama, and she is the bomb.com. She is the CEO, the founder, the president, the she boss, everything of Black Authors and Readers Rock Weekend. She's an author. She's an event planner. Listen, I can go on for days telling you about what Mama Lucas can do. I call her Mama Lucas, but you can call her Sharon Lucas. Welcome.
Well, thank you. And thank you for that wonderful, wonderful introduction. And I'm going to try not to talk with my hands today.
It's okay. I do it. So that's why I put a bracelet on to make sure that, you know, if somebody sees something, they're going to see the nice little bling bling, right? So
okay.
I want to talk to you about, let's take it back. So you're a writer, an author, and let's talk about some of the career pathways to even get you to the point of wanting to write, wanting to pen your book, because the name of your book is
Planet, the complete resource guide for authors, book clubs, and literary event planners.
Exactly. And that's why you're the bomb so much when you're doing Black Authors and Readers Rock Weekend, but we'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
So tell me about your book. Why did you decide to write a book in the first place?
I decided to write this particular book because I was going to events, just seeing so many things that could have been better. I will put it that way. Mm-hmm. And I had a lot of experience. For 20 years, I was a district sales manager with Avon. And, you know, anytime you're in the sales arena, you're putting on events, you're doing this, you're doing that. And of course, you're selling a product. Mm-hmm. And so you always want to come at your best. And there were just so many little things that I felt a lot of events could have been great events had they just taken a little more time. So that combined with the fact that I founded a book club in 1998. And again, you know, people were kind of calling, oh, Miss Sharon, what do you do? How do you handle this? How do you run a club? So I tried to put everything together into one book, how to start a book club, and then if you want to put on events, how to put on an event that I call an event that will wow the people who come and not just, it's just another event.
And you know, Black Authors and Readers Rock Weekend, that's what you do. You have us in awe because you are able, the amount of details that you put into it, from the panel discussions to being able to, you know, meet and greet your favorite author or whomever. You have down to the decorations, you know. I have seen you go so detail oriented in it. And so let's start with the event planning first. So you said that you were my hookup for Skin So Soft, which I wish I would have known, working with Avon. And so, just, what are some of the other like careers or jobs that you may have had before you even got to be an entrepreneur with Avon?
Well, I would tell you that I started out in human relations. And that kind of all ties in together too. Because if you are in human relations, personnel, whatever they're calling it nowadays, it's a service industry. I don't care how you look at it. If you didn't have employees that you served, you wouldn't have a job.
That's correct.
And so, you know, there's a lot, I would tell you that even a lot of what I do comes from that, how to treat people fairly. Mm-hmm. And that, you know, that plays a part in running a book club, that plays a part in having events. You have to treat people fairly. Everybody has to be on an equal plane. So that's really where I came from. I came from a human resources background. At 40, after adopting 3 times, I had a 9-pound, 11-ounce bouncing baby boy.
Wait, at 40 years old?
Yes.
Okay, so there's still hope for me at 42. Okay, go ahead, I'm good. Okay, sorry.
Yes, I mean, we had adopted 3 times. Were comfortable and my not getting pregnant, and I did. And at that point, it was really kind of overwhelming. And I decided I wanted to stay at home. And I started selling Avon while I was on maternity leave. I did go back for a short period of time, but by then my Avon manager had recognized my managerial skills and I was helping her. And the first opening they had, they approached me. So for 20 years, I was a district sales manager with Avon. And I loved it. I loved it because Avon was where things are now. I had a company car, a full benefits package, but I worked from home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, and so you learn the skills of you rolling out of bed in your pajamas and working for 8 hours at your desk at home, you know, kind of thing. So I would tell you that all of my experiences really meshed.
I see that every little piece played a puzzle. So the entrepreneurship, the human relations, the, you know, going and attending events to make you say, okay, you know, I'm going to be an event planner. I'm going to, you know, I'm going to show these people, because you know what, because honestly, that's what I do. You know, you'll go somewhere and sometimes people don't want to listen to best practices. And so you tell them over and over again, like, listen, I have experience. This may work this way, or you should have, maybe you could try it like this, because now you have to be super sensitive about how you word things too. So you have to say, can I suggest that you try this, opposed to, man, you should have just done this, right? And so when you're dealing with people, and especially with event planning, what are some of the challenges that you have to deal with? Not even just with people, but in general, when you're doing events.
Well, I think the first thing well, a couple things. I won't say the first thing. One, you have to have time. Mm-hmm. You can't decide today that you're going to have a huge event next week. I suggest if you're having what I call a big event, you need at least a year to really plan that event. And a lot of people don't want to do that. You have to kind of know what you're selling, what your market is. And all of those things go in. And I'm telling you, the devil is in the details. Mm-hmm. You know, just the little things that, as you say, people don't remember. You know, just making everything work for you and always trying new things. I believe that every event should have a wow moment. You know, every year that I have bar, I try to do something different. You know, one year I had a roaming photographer. The last couple of years, I've had someone on site who took pictures and gave them away at the end of the day to those people. It's the details that make things nice for people to come and want to come back.
Mm-hmm. You know, with me, well, you said bar, but just so for those who may have been under a rock and haven't heard, we're talking about Black Authors and Readers Rock Weekend, guys. This is the hugest literary event in the DMV area. I honestly think that bar is more successful, in my personal opinion, than some of the other huge or more known book festivals. Why? Because you bring in some major talented individuals. And then you also incorporate local authors. So you actually start from the inside out and then from the outside in. So you do a combo package. So dealing with some of us authors and us book people, how do you develop those relationships? Do people reach out to you and say, hey, I want to participate? Or is it a thing where you go and actually scout and say, I know that this person is going to bring that wow or that OW to the wow factor of my event?
LaDonna, I would tell you before the event ends this year, mm-hmm. I am already thinking about the keynote speakers, mm-hmm. the keynote speaker, mm-hmm. and the featured speakers for next year. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm looking at who's hot, who has a great book out, just, you know, all sorts of little things. But I start with those authors that I invite. Okay, and that would be the keynote and the featured. Now, people can reach out to me, but I still choose those people very carefully, right, because those are the people that most of your participants come to see. Mm-hmm. They come to meet the new authors, mm-hmm. but they come to see, mm-hmm. and talk to and be with your featured authors. So they have to have something going for them. I canceled BAR this year, but I was bringing in Bernice McFadden as my featured, as my keynote speaker. Who doesn't know Bernice?
Right.
And every year, in addition to having a keynote speaker, I also have what I call a literary icon. Someone who has been around a while, has a good reputation, and we honor them. This year, my honoree would have been Kimberly Lawson Roby. Now, they have both signed on. You know, when I told them we're canceling, there was not a minute's hesitation. I will be there in 2021. So we're really now just going forward. We will still have these people in 2021. But I think you have to recognize that you have to have crowd pleasers, crowd drawers.
Yep.
And then after that, I choose maybe 2 or 3 featured authors that I think have name recognition. And the other 20, because I normally have between 25 and 30 authors, the other 20 are going to be people who pay to be there, and generally new authors, but they come from all across the United States and locally.
It's funny you said that, because the year that, the last time that I was able to attend, because, it was conflicting with some other things recently, and I was disappointed, honestly. You were honoring Donna Hill. So for me to sit there, and work in the library and see like shelves of this lady's book, this iconic person, you see the name, but then to be in the same room taking pictures, being able to say, oh my gosh, not being starstruck, but just being able to say, especially being an aspiring author, like, wow, I can, try to get some of her energy, and kind of feed off of, what she has, get some of her mojo so that I can, really get it out there.
And I always try to have enough time so that you can talk to these people, so that they are accessible, and you can walk away feeling maybe I learned something, whatever the case may be. But those are, as I said, the devil is in the details. You have to do all those little things.
And even with that, just when you allow us time to network and interact with each other, honestly, I have met some fellow authors and publishers at BAR, and I still call them my sister and brother today. I still see them, and it's so iconic, because ironic rather, I see them outside of BAR, and these are people that just every day on the streets, I might not have known they had a book, or may not have known they had a literary work, but now that we've had conversations and been able to network and work with each other, it's like, oh, well, let me help you get your book somewhere. Let me help you get yours. And so those relationships that are even founded at BAR are amazing. So it's going beyond just Miss Sharon having an event that she's put her heart and soul into. You are actually changing the lives and pathways to people based on the devil in the details, and just.
And, one of the things that I try not to be picky about, but if you come this year and you do well and, oh, I want to go back, I want to have you back. But if you haven't put out a new book, then I don't see a reason for you to come back.
Right.
Not back to back, because my people come year after year. So, they want you to have new work. But here again, I think that that's a good lesson for new authors. Exactly. That they can't just keep selling that. I think that all of the things, if, as you said earlier, if you word them in the right way, can be great learning lessons for people who are just getting started.
And I think BAR is a great spot to start for anyone who, before you even pin your work, come in, research. I don't want people to come with the anticipation of just, oh, you're going to give me a handout. Come with a research and development mentality where you can say, hey, let me, talk to Miss Lucas and, find out what I can do, or let me speak to this person. Because honestly, people think that authors are very tight, but in reality, we all want everyone to be successful. This is $1 billion industry. So what happens is there may be a small nugget that you give me that can change the whole pathway to my book or my works from that point on. And so
the other thing that works really well is if a new author comes to me and says, I've never done this before. What do? I will often tell them, LaDonna, depending on where they are in the process, why don't you come this year as an attendant?
Right. Yep.
You know, why don't you sit at a table with readers this year and kind of absorb? And that way you'll have time to go around to the authors' tables and learn. Because it, you know, I have to laugh. Someone said to me a couple of weeks ago, well, said they went to bar and they didn't sell any books. And without ever thinking, I knew exactly who they were talking about. And she was amazed. And she said, why? I said, because he sat down the whole day. He leaned up against the wall with his chair. He pulled out his phone. I said, who do you think is going to come up and beg you to buy your book? So, I mean, you know, there are just lessons to be learned.
You know, there are several stages when I, you know, help people to learn how to even self-publish, etc. And one of the, when you get around point limit, like 5 or 6 rather, I talk about marketing. And the important thing about marketing is attending events like this, because you're not going to get it all. You're not going to reach the masses by just being on social media. You're not going to reach the masses by putting out flyers or posters. You have to get somewhere where people are going to actually care. So when it says Black authors and readers, those are the people who are going to go to the library and check your book out. Those are the people who are going to go to the bookstores or Amazon or what have you and purchase your book. So as a event planner, as the CEO of BAR, that's why I'm elated right now to see be able to talk to you, because this event is so impactful. A starting point for a local author from, you know, once they get through the writing process or they're in the process of the writing, is to attend events like this. It's to network. It's to come to BAR. So let's talk a little bit about BAR. We kind of touched on it, but let's talk about what actually happens when you're at BAR, especially for, let's say, a mid-range author. So not necessarily someone who's just starting or someone who's like, you know, our Donna Hills, Dwayne Alexanders, but someone who may be in the middle.
Well, when people sign up for BAR, I send them a questionnaire. And one of the questions on it is, we have discussions, you know, panel discussions and workshops sometimes. Are you interested in being on a panel discussion? Are you interested in being a panelist? And if so, what is your area of expertise? Very seldom. There are times when people say no, they're not interested because they're just too new and they want to learn. But that's kind of the way people always ask me, what are your workshops? What are your panel discussions? LaDonna, I don't know until I see who is coming, because I want to look at the authors who are going to be with me this year and really see what their strengths are. What are they bringing to the table? And then take those panels and work them around the expertise that I have in the room.
You know, the one thing that I kind of am leery about is when someone says they have an expertise but no proof. And
see, I know how to weed those out.
Right, and that's what I'm going to say. You do an awesome job reading that, because, you know, especially, and I hope I don't sound condescending to anyone in the DMV, but there's a lot of ideas, but no effort behind it, no background, meaning that they can say, oh, I have an expertise on putting on author events. No, go ahead.
Yeah, but you know, but then there's also the person who has put out one book, and all of a sudden they're running a master class on how to self-publish, and I'm like, well, you know, it just seems to me that you don't know everything yet.
Yeah. And
you know the master classes just kind of blow my mind away, because I want to know what made you a master.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
I mean, and the thing is, a lot of times people think because they sold between 50 to 100 books, maybe that they've accomplished something. And I tell people, I'm like, you can't do that in a day or a week. If it's taking you 6 months to sell 20 books, that's a problem. you know, and right now with COVID and a lot of people staying home, this is the perfect time for authors or those who are considering to write a book to get started or to further promote or to prepare, because you have people that are sitting at home. Number one, they need something to do. They're probably tired of television. Number two, they're looking for the next great book. Number three, they're trying to figure out something else to do but watch television. They're stuck in the house. So pull out your computer, pull out your pen and paper. I'm still old school. I still handwrite before I even get in front of the computer.
But you know what? There's a whole lot of people who just simply need to go back to that book that they started 20 years ago and didn't have the oomph or, you know, whatever it took to finish it. I don't know if you know Joan Vassar. If you don't,
I have homework.
She does historical romance. I don't even like historical romance. Going back to Joan had written this book, she said like 10, 15 years ago, and finally decided to put it to paper. And she came to this event. Mine was one of the first events she came to, sold out of every book she bought. And met so many people. I laugh at her all the time. I watch her on Facebook. I can't tell you how many other book clubs she met at my event. She didn't meet them at bars. She met them at Curtis Bunn's event. They flew her to Phoenix.
Oh, wow.
For their book club meeting and just had a glorious time. These are the things you need to do. If you're marketing, you really have to network with book clubs in the Black community.
That is absolutely true. And, you know, it's very important for people to, especially if you're a local author, you know, there are so many different resources that are available. You just have to take the initiative to do it, you know. And even here at the library system, they're having a local author series every Friday. And some of the authors, you know, we may have heard of them, some we may not have. But it's important to do events and things of that sort so that you can get that audience, because I tell everyone, when people come to me and say, I have a book, I say, good, everybody has a story. And if you have a book in you, that means that there's someone waiting to read your story. So do it. And even when I just moved to my new house, I just found, and don't fuss, but I just found about 3 manuscripts that I had started, you know, and I said, you know what? In this season, especially with me being home with, you know, stuff, needing something to do, why can't I get on the computer or re-edit those and fix this up and tweak that? I'm to the point now that I won't release a book unless it's as perfect as can be, because there is no perfect book. And so perfect meaning based on like what I want, my voice, and just getting everything in. I'm going to bring you back on another day too. We're going to actually go through some steps for local authors, because both of us, you know, we write and we have our stuff out there, our materials out there, and people are hungry for this, you know. So
they are. They are.
So let's do this. What advice would you have other than just attending events and Black Authors Readers Rock in 2021, because it got postponed, not canceled. See, I was on somebody's website. It's not canceled, it's postponed. But remember this too, delay does not mean denial. So it may have been delayed because there's something more details or something bigger that you're going to add to it. So I already know we're going to get the wow, wow, wow triple effect. So it's going to be wow, wow, wow. But what advice do you have for either local authors or event planners? I'm going to turn the show over to you now to we're going to call this Words from Mama Sharon.
Well, I will share some things with you that my mentor, Victoria Christopher Murray, told me. Once I decided to write my book, I said to her early on, is it too early to start to talk about it? And she said, it's never too early to let people know what you're doing so that they can anticipate supporting you. You know, if you want support, you have to kind of let people know that you need support. That's number one. Number two, I would tell you is don't worry about being invited to a book club in California until you have exhausted all of your local contacts. It's your local contacts that are going to help you become known abroad, if that makes sense. Victoria says it something like, become famous at home, and you will then become famous abroad.
Absolutely.
So, start letting people know early what you're doing so that you can ask for their support. Do not, in the Black community, do not overlook book clubs. We have power. Okay, I mean, I don't know any other way to say it. There are 18 women in my book club. If the 18 of us read your book and share it with just one person, think about the exposure.
Yeah.
So start small. If you want to have an event, know that it takes time to grow an audience. Audiences people just don't buy tickets unless you have a track record. Bar did not just start at Bar. We started in 2008 with a one-day brunch for authors to celebrate our 10th anniversary. We were 5 years in before I went to 2 days and really made it a conference. We started out just having a luncheon and a few authors around the room selling books. So crawl before you walk, and find out you just can't depend on Facebook to sell tickets. Relationships. We are in a relationship business. Know that you have to build relationships with book clubs and with authors, because then they will support you. But you just can't put yourself out there and nobody knows who you are or what you're doing. You have to have a track record. So work really hard at doing those things and be fair. Now, the first thing that I did when I postponed Bar, I didn't announce it to the public until I announced it to my authors. I went to every author who was an invited author and told them what was going on, asked for their commitment for next year. Those authors who had bought tables, I immediately said, do you want me to hold your money for next year, or do you want your money back? And within the week, everybody, and there were only a couple, I was just overwhelmed that most of my authors said, no, Miss Sharon, you keep that money, we're there. You just don't send anybody back. But for those 2 or 3, I sent their money back, because I have a reputation that I don't want blemished in any way. I mean, you hear people talk about, child, she sold tickets for an event and she canceled it 10 years ago, and they're still mad about not getting $30 back.
Right.
Okay? That's the way people are. So you have to treat people fairly, and especially when money is concerned.
It's funny that you said that too, because, if word of mouth is atrocious sometimes, and if one person has a bad experience, they're going to make it a point to tell 100 of their friends, and then it's going to become infectious. So the fact that you have longevity, because you've been doing this for how many years now?
Our first was in 2008.
Okay. So about 12 years in, and then next year will be 13 years. For you to be able to have the sustainability of being able to do a conference, a networking event, a marketing event for authors for all of these years, and still have no desire, and you better not ever, the child is telling the mother, better not ever stop it until you're just like, no, you can't ever stop it. I'm not even going to give you an outlet, no loopholes, because we need you.
I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, that's fine. I got you.
Okay.
So I'm gonna sit at your feet and and just absorb as much as I can, and as long as I can. I'm always gonna be a student of you. When I say I honor you and I respect you so much, just from so many different levels. I don't call everybody mama, because my real mama have attitude. So she'd be like, that ain't your mama.
I love you too. And I would love to have somebody to turn it over to. Mama turned 73 on the 6th of June.
But mama don't act like she turned 73.
Got to keep it moving.
But no, I would love to sit and talk to you about it. I was actually trying to work on starting Maryland Writers Association branch here because, I used to be the president in Baltimore, but somebody actually beat me to it. And I was kind of frustrated because I said, listen, I work in the library. I'm in the, the literary community, but I had no idea that Prince George's County had a chapter. Like, that bothers me.
They started a Bowie chapter, about a year ago or so?
I don't know. See, that's the thing. If you don't know that, I feel better because that's the thing. For it to be representing Prince George's County is big but small. And for you and I not to have heard about it or them not to be working with us, I have a problem. And I'm saying it publicly. So if the coordinators or whomever want to call me, you know how to reach me. But the thing is, I have a problem with that because that shows that there's a division. When you have the queen of literary everything right here, Miss Sharon Lucas, why have you not gotten with her? Why are you not a part of BAR? Why are you not working with Mama Sharon? Like, this is the way not only to expand your chapter, but people need you and you need her and you need us. Let's come together like this.
That's the reason you need to start another chapter.
Well, that's the thing. They won't let me start another chapter in there. But I said, you know what? Maybe
because there's one in PG County?
Under Maryland Writers Association, yep, they've already done it. But I told them, I said, listen, I used to be the president and vice president of the Baltimore chapter. I can show you how to do this. Let me work with you. I've done the Baltimore Book Fest. I've done these things. So I'm like, why wouldn't you want, instead of thinking and trying to be tight-lipped and secretive, understand that you have, even on this call today, you have two resources that not only would be willing to work with you, but can get from you and give to you. Let's come together. And even in the literary world, I'm gonna say this to everybody, whether you're an author, whether you're a publisher, whether you're a PR agent, whether you're someone who's thinking about writing a book, you have 20 books. Come together. We all need each other. Like the pages on our books, we all need each other. We all play a role. And once we gel that together, I think that not only will people get more notoriety for their books, but there'll be more sustainability, especially in Prince George's County, Maryland. And I'm sorry if I sound like
we're going to have to find out when the meeting is, and we're just going to have to go.
We're going to crash that joint. There we go. We're going to crash.
I joined it. I think I did, but I never got any information, but I think I did.
I just so happened to go on the website because it started, or, I got that unction again to start it, especially with everyone being home. I'm like, oh, we can do virtuals. We can do all this. All these ideas just started coming. And then when I sent the email in, they were like, oh, we already have a chapter. Here's the president. I said, never mind. I said, I have no desire. To be honest with you, I have no desire since I work in the Prince George's County Memorial Library system.
Yeah. You should know. But are they saying no simply because there is one chapter in the county?
I think it's one chapter per area. So like Baltimore City has one, Baltimore City, Baltimore County all in one, which makes sense. Okay. However, again, to those who are running these different organizations and associations, you need to come together, especially for a bars weekend or something like that, because this is where there's a neutral spot where we all can come together at least once a year and be able to not only make networking and connections, but
that's a workshop. Think about that. That's a workshop for me.
Yeah.
To have them come in and have, make their pitch to local authors. They could increase their membership. Mm-hmm. People, if you don't know, you just don't know.
And that's the thing. I would have been joined it. So we're just when we know better, we'll do better. And I'll leave it at that. So Mama Sharon, I'm going to let you go because I know it's dinner time and Pop David is not going to get me for his steak being cold.
He's being patient.
But I already know. I said, it's 6 o'clock. Oh, no, she's not getting me on that one.
Well, thank you for having me. Love you.
I love you too. Thank you.
When you want me again.
And I'm serious. If you want me to help you with bar, I'll get my hands dirty for you.
I tell you, it's about time for somebody to start picking it up.
All right. Well, we don't want to pick it up. We're gonna work with you, and then when you finally say I'm going to move to Hawaii somewhere, then we'll take off.
I'm giving myself a hiatus. Once I decided I was postponing, I just decided I'm not doing anything till maybe September, October. I'll start to get ready. So I'll talk to you about where I am and what I'm doing.
Yeah, just let me know. I'm here for you.
All
All right,
right.
Donna. Thank you. I love you.
Love
Bye-bye.
you too. Bye-bye.